and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy and AM 790 KABC and across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside Sean Cody, Max Brown, and the head coach Lincoln Riley joins us right at the top of the show here. USC's head coach interview is presented by iTrust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. Coach, thank you for joining us. Big week ahead. Obviously not the night that you wanted in South Bend, but with this schedule, there's no time to pause, no time to lick wounds. So what are the takeaways that you wanted the guys to take from that game as you go forward into a monster matchup this Saturday?
Yeah, like you said, we can't dwell on it. That's the main thing. We've got some big opportunities in front of us right now as a football team. We're disappointed with the way we played. That's not certainly representative of what we expect. Our expectations, our standard, just a lot of missed opportunities in that game that we certainly, we regret, and we hate that we missed them and we weren't at our best, because I think our best would have certainly been good enough. But you got to bounce back, right? And this is obviously the perfect game, perfect opportunity to be able to do that against a really good Utah team that we know obviously very, very well, and a staff and players in terms of Utah that we have a lot of respect for, and you got to give them a lot of credit with what they've done over the last several years. So it'll be a big time matchup, and our guys I think have handled it well. It was very disappointed locker room, but certainly not defeated by any stretch, and they came back with a lot of resolve today. Had a very spirited practice. We know that we haven't been at our best here for a few weeks. We haven't been clicking quite on all cylinders. We're very aware. We're also very aware of what we're capable of. And a lot of times, when things aren't going your way in this game, you can feel like it's really, really far away, and in reality it's not. And there's a couple of things here or there that if we can flip it, which we can, then this team can play very, very well and can beat anybody on our schedule the rest of the way through. And our guys believe that, they see that, and now we've got to go. We got to go work. We've got to roll up our sleeves. That's the only way. When you're in a little bit of a rut, that's the only way you get yourself out of it, right? You got to go back to work, and our guys have certainly had that mentality so far.
Coach, I think your statements really ring true with the offense. You've always had such a high standard for that side of the ball, but it just looks like something's not right. And when I watch it, I see one player here making a mistake. I see a drop pass. I see a penalty, and other than that, it's like this offense is there. It's just that consistency of play at every position that you're not getting right now. How do you get the guys to buy into the thing and say, hey guys, we're close, but this guy on this ball, this guy on this side, how do we get that all on the same page so the offense is clicking in the right motion? Yeah,
it's like you said. I mean, we've been a group that over the last couple of weeks we've kind of just taken turns making mistakes. It's not. I can't point to one position group or one player and said, man, that we really need this group to get going because other groups are really operating at a high level. We've kind of just been one guy here, one guy there, and then it's been at just such inopportune times. And then we've had some opportunities that we haven't taken advantage of. I mean, a couple of plays the other night. I mean, even the first interception, if we get that ball to Lake, he's probably running for 40 yards. I mean, and you talk about a huge momentum play for us. We just converted a 3rd and long. You talk about a huge momentum play that all of a sudden flips and goes the other direction, or you think about the penalty on Caleb's touchdown run. All of a sudden it's a tie game, and that whole thing feels different. And there's just countless of those throughout the night. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you have to show them. You have to show them. You have to make it very clear what we're doing well. You got to make it very clear what's holding us back. And then the guys have ultimately got to make the decision to go put in the work to correct the things that we got to correct, and then go out on game day and play more consistent with all 11. And that's what good offensive football looks like. And you can – that's the thing, man, is you can have 9 or 10 guys doing it so well, and then just that one guy, especially against good teams and good defenses like we faced last week and like we're getting ready to face again this week. You got to have all 11 clicking, and when we do, we can play. But we got to do it more often, and we got to do it now.
It's been a while since we've won in South Bend. I mean, it's since 2011, and it feels like every single year that we are playing there, we get there, and then there's just a different feel to that game, different pace, different mold to that game. What makes that environment so tough, and are the issues that you may be seeing on film walking away from Notre Dame, are they new issues? Are they the similar issues maybe to what you've seen previous weeks? What about that atmosphere brings that about?
In no disrespect to Notre Dame's atmosphere, it's fantastic. It was a really fun place to play. I enjoyed it. I'll look forward to going back there again here in a couple years. I don't think that had anything to do with it. 5 turnovers had everything to do with it. I mean, we turned it over 5 times in one game. I think we turned it over 7 times all year last year. I mean, there's a lot of good in that game. We played well enough defensively to win that football game. We gave up 260 yards of offense. We gave up 1 true touchdown drive. Our specialists were awesome. The field goals, the punt team, awesome. There were a lot of positive things offensively that we just weren't able to sustain. But, I mean, you could take all the good things you want. When you have 5 turnovers and the other team has 0, that's
tough to win.
It. I mean, that's the whole game right there. And then not just the turnovers, but when you are the team that's going on the road, you're in somebody else's place. It's not just the turnovers, but the momentum that goes along with those. The flip of momentum, because those turnovers they're like all 3 of the offensive turnovers in the first half. There were like big plays, like right there, all 3 of them, and on different groups while we didn't execute it. But you talk about you make 1 or 2 of those and the momentum and the whole thing feels completely different. And that's what you got to do on the road, and we didn't do a good enough job of it.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live. Caleb Williams has been so magnificent during his time at USC. It obviously was not his best night. How did you evaluate it, and what was your takeaway in terms of his performance?
Yeah, I mean, he first throw obviously was a little bit high there to Lake and he had a little bit of pressure on that one. But yeah, the other 2, I thought just there at the end of the first half, he got frustrated and was, I think, desperately trying to make a play, and that's just not. There's times in a game for that, but the second quarter's not that time. No matter how poorly you've been playing or how much the momentum's against you, and so. Yeah, listen, he more than anybody wishes he had those back, and but I thought he settled down and came in and played a good second half for us. I mean, we had the big drive there to end the half to get points, and I mean, our locker room, like everybody in that locker room, thought we were going to win the game. And I told the coaches on the headsets both times when we got it to down 11 that if we get one more stop and get the ball back and score, we're going to win this thing. Because you could just – those in the stadium, you could kind of feel it. Like we were making that. It's like, man, you push it to a one-score game, all of a sudden all the pressure and all that flips over on those guys, and we'll have all the momentum. And we obviously just couldn't get that stop. That was the 1 touchdown drive we gave up defensively, and then obviously gave up the kickoff return. So, yeah, saying all I'd say, I mean, he rallied and played better for us in the second half, settled down like I obviously knew he would. But, yeah, he knows he's got to play better and he's got to get coached better.
Coach, special teams wise, you mentioned it. You take that big one in coverage there. You don't find a way to get the guy down. Special teams wise, all year kind of up and down. Some great moments, some tough moments. So how do you get that fixed in the coverage game where you guys are playing a more consistent brand of coverage and keeping these guys at the 25-yard line or less? Yeah, no, the kickoff team was the big obviously disappointment in the game because really. I mean, we got, I think right now, the number 1 punt return team in the country. Yeah. Dennis has done some really, really good things for us. I know we had kind of the wild deal at the end of the game the other night, which obviously wasn't his fault, but Dennis has been consistent for us. We've punted the ball well. I mean, we've done a lot of – we've been a much improved special teams unit. I mean, no question. We are winning – we have won games and have had huge contributions on special teams that we didn't have last year. So, overall, I've been really pleased with it. The kickoff return, obviously, was the one that kind of broke our back the other night. And those are the ones that you obviously cannot give up. And, you look up, and at one point, I think we have 4 different guys on the ground, and you miss 2 tackles. And I mean, it's, that was obviously a huge momentum play, and we've been pretty solid there, but it was our worst night on kickoff, and it'll be a big point of emphasis going forward.
I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, and it feels like this is the perfect opportunity too. You're like many elite coaches, you don't have a dedicated special teams coach allocating those resources to, I think in your scenario, have maybe 2 receiver coaches. I remember when I was here, people were critical of spending too much time on special teams. So it's funny how that can be contradictory there. But what goes into making that decision, and where did that philosophy of yours stem from?
Yeah, my philosophy was I've seen it done both ways. I've been a part of staffs where it goes both ways. And what people have to understand is you go practice, you have your offensive and defensive periods, which are typically going on at the same time. Offensive guys are doing offense, defensive guys are doing defense. Special teams is typically, depending on how you break up practice, but somewhere between 1 and 3 periods a day. And there's that one time where everybody's working on special teams. And the thing that I never liked about a special teams coordinator was, all right, well, what's he doing the other 75% of practice, right? And you can supplement here and there, but my thought process was, we've got all these coaches that, because every coach, when you come up as a GA, you come up as a student assistant, whatever it is, a quality control, you have special teams responsibilities. And then every single coach, whether you have a special teams coordinator or not, is coaching the tackles on the punt team, you know what I mean, or the jammers on the punt return team. So everybody that you bring in has experience being a part of these units. And so my deal was, all right, if I can have another position coach that's working with that offensive or defensive position 75% of the time, and then I can break these up where one coach has these differing units, you still assign other coaches, then that's going to make the most sense in the long run. And then, it was easier to do even here than at Oklahoma because I got to hire the staff from day one, and I knew I was going to do it that way. So when I went to evaluate assistant coaches that I was going to bring here to USC, a huge part of the evaluation was I want guys that have coordinated special teams, even guys that have run entire special teams units at other schools. And I have multiple of those guys on our staff. And so, yeah, the amount of special teams experience that we have on this staff is more than any that I've ever coached at anywhere. And I'm, very comfortable with how we're doing it.
Well, just a massive home game coming up this Saturday, USC versus Utah game presented by Wells Fargo. It'll kick at 5 o'clock. Our Trojan Tailgate show will go on at 3 o'clock. This is really your last chance if you don't have tickets in hand. UCLA and Washington already announced.
Don't call me.
Yeah,
don't call me for tickets.
We'll call Sean this week. Sean maybe this week has a couple for you. So get to usctrojans.com/tickets and scoop up those remaining tickets. Monster Energy, the official energy drink of USC, Unleash the Beast. And Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. We'll talk to Coach about that Utah game next on Trojans Live. Hey, Trojan fans, did you know the Ralph's app gives you easy access to weekly sales and personalized coupons, and you can earn fuel points too? Check out the app today and save while you cheer us on to another great season. Ralph's, proud partner of USC Athletics. Back with more Trojans Live. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, and the head coach Lincoln Riley. Well, we know Utah well, and to be the champs, you got to beat the champs, right? As the cliche goes. What do you see from this year's Utes team?
Very, very, very similar. They're playing at a high level. They've obviously, they've returned a lot of really good players on both sides of the ball, and you see. Their same personality, and they've had a really good year defensively. Continuing to limit people, make big plays like they always tend to do, and a lot of familiar faces on that side of the ball. Offensively, they've obviously looked a little bit different at times with the quarterback position being a little bit of a revolving door for them, but they've still found ways to make some key plays in games. Even some of the games where maybe they haven't scored a ton of points, they've made enough key plays to win those ball games, and they've done a good job adapting to the different skill sets that they've played at quarterback. So, yeah, we know what this one is, right? I mean, we know each other pretty well. They're a team, coaching staff, all that we have a ton of respect for, and we've had 2 good battles against them, and looking forward here to the 3rd.
Coach, what's the defensive preparation when you got, like you said, a couple guys at quarterback? You don't know if another guy might try to get into this game. What's the preparation for the defense, not knowing who the quarterback might be? Yeah,
their system does, or I don't know their system, but what they call certainly does. Certainly is affected by who's playing. We've played a couple of games. I know we were talking about this with Arizona a few weeks ago, where the quarterbacks are not that much different, and you prepare for both. You watch both, but you know they're probably going to call a pretty similar game regardless of who's playing. Where this is a different deal, right? You got 3 potential guys now, and all are a little bit different in their skill set, and certainly obviously their experience level as well. So we'll obviously have to see how it unfolds. We'll prepare for all 3. We know that's a good creative staff that's gonna, that'll have a plan that'll present some challenges regardless of who it is.
We know the Utah defense always brings it, but this season they're flirting with some all-time numbers under Kyle Whittingham in terms of what they're able to do defensively. What makes that unit click? What do they do really well? And do you take anything from 2 matchups last year into the park this year?
Yeah, you can just tell that system has been in place and those people for a long time. Like you can watch people and systems across college football. Like I would compare it to, being in the Big 12 for years, and like when you played TCU with Gary and those guys, and Gary had been there for a long time. Like he knew it so well. Those coaches knew it so well. Every single player in that program had been brought up in it. Like it was just
culture.
It was so ingrained. And that's when I watch Utah. That's what I see. I see. They do a good job creatively giving you different looks, different pressures, all that. They do a really nice job, but you can just tell those guys know that system in and out. You can tell they've recruited for that system years after years after year after year, and really been able to bring in those guys, and they've done a nice job. So you got to give them credit. They've been productive. Just about everybody that they've played has struggled to move the ball on them.
In terms of your defense, the score on Saturday was not indicative of their performance. Where do you feel like they made strides forward?
Oh, we tackled at a high level.
Yep.
I mean, that's that, and we said going into the game that's going to be the key. And then we gave up really one big explosive play in the pass game, and other than that, there wasn't a whole lot else. I mean, to be honest, we got off the field on 3rd down. We made competitive plays on the ball. I think you're getting ready to talk to one of the guys.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Christian Roland Wallace that had a number of them himself. I thought our defensive line. We didn't have as many tackles for losses and sacks and all those we normally have, but I thought we held the point. We were able to put edges on things, and then the linebackers flew around and really made some nice plays. So yeah, you played well. You hold an offense to what we did, and again, all the terrible positions they were put in, by our offense continued to swing and gave us a lot of chances to come back and win that game.
Coach, I think the defense has made some nice strides this year, and you can see it kind of the growth every year, and especially in the young linebacker and Tackett Curtis. I think the next level of defense when I see is you have one of those sudden changes, and hey, our win here is holding to 3 instead of giving up a touchdown. How do you get that? All right, here's the next level with defense, guys. As we make this progression as a defense, how do we find that sudden change win where we can get holding to 3?
Yeah, and I think some of that comes with your confidence, right? As you get going and you play a few games where you're making multiple stops and you're making big plays, and all of a sudden, in what most people would consider a tough situation, a turnover or whatever, you go out there. Exactly. You see it like opportunity, like you're frothing at the mouth, like you're ready to go. Yep. And I think we're building towards that, and I think our guys are thinking that way. I was excited that when we came in on Sunday and saw the guys. I was talking to some of the leaders, and I said we obviously did some really good things defensively, and they weren't satisfied. Yep. Yes, we did well, but our standards are still even much higher than that defensively, and some of our key guys understand that, and I think that's important because that's a mindset, and that's a shift, and those are some really cool steps in the right direction.
Coach, back to the Notre Dame game real quick. Big picture question for you. I know you're focused on this season, but that's your first trip to the Midwest this season. Obviously, that's something you're going to have to do a lot more in the years to come. Were there any logistical elements that you were assessing in this road trip that you'll take with you in future road trips, whether it's flight times, restaurants, hotels, anything like that?
There we go. We certainly were. Yeah, it was a great kind of test for that. And we left a little bit early. We think, we've actually had an opportunity to do that twice now with the unique Colorado kick that we had earlier in the year. And I think the travel with it's gone well. And then we've seen some of the advantages for us as, you're taking off late local time, but then by the time you're back here and pick up a few hours, it's not awful. So, I thought it went well, thought our team handled it well, and it has been great practice for the upcoming Big Ten schedule.
Well, Coach teased it nicely. Christian Roland Wallace will join the show next when you've got good beer and good vibes. It's all Buena, Stone Buena Vesa Salt and Lime Lager is Baja inspired, imported from San Diego, located near you at findoutstonebrewing.com. USC versus Utah Saturday night. We will talk to Christian Roland Wallace about that next on Trojans Live.